Hey there, Felicia, or Strawberry, something I didn't really catch it at the beginning. So I'm just going to get down to it. The first thing you mentioned is that the world created in Atlas Shrugged is a simplified version of the real world. And this really isn't true. I'm not sure how far into the book you've read, but it's a pretty accurate world, one that really parallels the things that are going on today. In Atlas Shrugged, the rest of the world, excluding America, is very socialistic, carbon copies of Soviet Russia, if you will, with the government strategies on how to control their people varying. And as the trend of socialism starts to seep in and suffocate American businessmen, a few individuals, one in particular, rise up against this philosophy, the philosophy of altruism, the philosophy that, really encompasses and supports socialism. And they rise up against this philosophy and they fight it. It becomes a fight between the men of mind and the men of mysticism and muscle. Um, and so like I said, the parallels between the world Ayn Rand created and the world we're experiencing today are pretty terrifying. We have the cry on Capitol Hill that capitalism has failed. Socialized healthcare is really being pushed right now. The Fed started taking over and running big financial businesses. All of these things are very prevalent in Atlas Shrugged, if not explicitly, then certainly implicitly. You said the world doesn't break down into two types of people. However, it pretty much does. You have people who are either for freedom, which means that they think an individual is responsible for his own life and making his own decisions. And in order for that person to make those decisions, he must be free from all forms of coercion. And then you have those who are against it, which means they think that an individual shouldn't be responsible for his own life. And that they should be told how to do things because they don't know any better, how to spend their money, live their lives, think, etc. And the degree in which you accept, you know, any of those traits for either philosophy is the degree in which you retard the other. There really isn't any middle ground. You can't say you support an individual's right to decide how they spend their money and then go and vote for socialized healthcare. This is forcing people to spend their money against their better judgment. You have the men of muscle and mysticism who state that man either belongs to the state or to God, and then you have the men of the mind who state that an individual belongs to no one. That's it. And yeah, there are people who accept a little of both philosophies, but that inconsistency forces an individual to hold a logical fallacy and really hinders their ability to achieve happiness. And this is partially demonstrated by the character Cheryl Brooks, a woman who is married to a man who represents the very philosophy she hates. And I don't know if you've read anything about her yet or read what she does, but the action that she takes pretty much sums up how those individuals turn out. He also said that if we followed our self-interest, there would be anarchy. How? You do realize that for a person to be allowed to follow their self-interest, they must, meaning absolutely have to be free from all forms of coercion. Fraud, theft, and murder must be barred from existence. The reason being is before a man can even form a thought, he must be free to do so. Eliminating another man's right to think destroys your sanction from coercion as well. There are a number of different ways to pay for things like firemen, police officers, court systems, etc. Um, you said you don't. You said you think taxes are absolutely necessary, um, and if you really do not think that people would willingly, meaning volitionally, freefully going out there and paying for things like firemen, police officers, and court systems, what have you, then how do non-profit organizations exist? Like, some stay alive without even having a purpose. I really don't buy into the argument that people would stop paying for police officers or stop paying for firemen. In an objectivist society, these things would be paid for voluntarily, or on a need-to-need basis by the individuals who use that product. And those are pretty much the only points you brought up, so feel free to respond and take care.